Oh no. Oh boy. And I am live. And I just found out literally right when I clicked go live that I scheduled this for tomorrow, Monday at 10:45. What a fucking pain. What a pain when things don't go the way you want them to go. But I don't know. It's going to be all right. I'm also part of this. Part of the reason for me doing this is I'm broadcasting. I'm going to stream to two destinations at once. I'm going to stream to the Rumble channel. At the same time, I'm streaming to the YouTube channel. That's the plan, anyways. And anyway, StreamYard says I'm doing it, so I think it says I'm doing it. Although people are going to be surprised because it appears to be a day early. But I'm doing this on my phone while I'm driving around back and forth between New Jersey and Virginia. So did not notice on the little screen that it said Monday and not Sunday. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Life is not perfect, and we just have to overcome the problems and continue on our way. Anyway, once again, for the Rumble people who I don't think have seen this beautiful view too often, but the YouTube audience has. This is the view of leaving Dulles International Airport in beautiful Herndon or Sterling, Virginia, whichever way. If you look at this side of the airport, it's one thing. That side of the airport, it's another thing. It is Sunday, May 4th, 2025, and there is a whole lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff for me to talk about, and we're going to do a live stream, and we're going to drive along. And this is oftentimes for the for the Rumble people. And I'm saying this I should mention that I just got a new subscriber to the Rumble channel, even though I haven't streamed anything there in like a month and a half. So, but whatever. Somebody came across the content and decided to subscribe. So now I'm like, oh, they got to figure out a way to include them in the Sunday night chill stream, which for them is I think it's Corridor of Power episode 26A, because I stopped at 26 for, I don't know, 5 weeks ago, and I'm just gonna make this 26A and not the proper 27. But anyway, it's a mild Sunday night, and we got a long way to drive, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and so let's get into it as much as we can, without crashing the cars. I do not have a cough button on my headphones, so I have to do that manually. All right, this is something I mentioned I wanted to show a week or two ago. How old is this? April. It's the end of April. But people have pointed out that the sovereign wealth funds are coming to Bitcoin. So, and what a sovereign wealth fund is that's basically a mutual fund to the richest people in any given country. You know, all the big shots get together, they pool their money, and they have fund managers manage their money. And the sovereigns are coming to Bitcoin, and they've obviously been aware of it for a while, but it takes a long time for these big financial institutions to to line all their ducks up in a row. They have all sorts of procedures and hoops to jump through. And to be honest, they don't give a fuck about the price. They could care less about the price. They're going to put like 0.5% of their fund into Bitcoin, and that's going to be like $100 billion with a B. And that's just the level they're at. That is the level they're at. But yeah, we're at the level of sovereign wealth funds and nation states. Nation state adoption is here. Our man Samson Mao, for those of you who are Maoists, and I mean Samson Mao, not Mao Zedong, but Samson Mao meeting with a bunch of people in Taiwan to talk to Taiwan about a Bitcoin strategic reserve for Taiwan. And why not? They make the chips that mine Bitcoin. I might as well hold some of it. They might as well hold some of it. But we're going to go back and forth on a couple of things. And I found this. This is not actually new to me, but I found somebody reprinted this. Somebody way back in the days when I used to just read all the stuff about Bitcoin and I didn't know what to make heads or tails of. I was just like reading everything. Crazy, hopium. Bitcoin's going to $10 million in a year. Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that, and people would say, Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin fixes this. And they just constantly repeated that like a trained seal or like a parrot. I didn't know what to make of it. And there was someone who did a fairly, it was a fairly good piece on who was Satoshi Nakamoto and whatever happened to Satoshi Nakamoto. And they've kind of either they reprinted the original story or this guy, I kind of have the feeling that this guy just reprinted the story. So it says Satoshi disappeared day. CIA agent bought Bitcoin from former lead developer. And it says, it's tough for me to read this while I'm driving. But the day that Satoshi disappeared from the internet, there was one of the developers, there was a message board, a bunch of people would all get together and they'd all call themselves Satoshi Nakamoto, right? They would all log on that way. This was in the earlier days where they weren't tracking every single thing. Anyway, one guy who was a software developer was contacted by CIA, who I guess was monitoring this stuff, and said, hey, will you come to a conference and tell us about Bitcoin? And the guy said, sure, I'll do that. And he announced it to the board. He said, listen, guys, I've been invited by CIA to give them a talk. There's a 3-day event in Washington. I'm going to go there. He said, I just want to be upfront and tell you guys. So he did. And at this 3-day conference, and I'm not sure if that's what I have up on the screen right now because I'm driving and that's really, really small fucking print. So this developer guy, one of not the main guy not the main guy who's Satoshi, but this other dude goes to CIA. There's a 3-day conference. The first day is unclassified, but some of the other conference participants are the Federal Reserve Bank, and then the second and third day are classified. So right after this happens, somebody tries to contact somebody. Some dude is like, hey, you haven't posted for a while. And Satoshi, the main guy, who was probably a young software developer from San Francisco, who logged on around midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, which they could tell that back then, but they didn't have the deep detail that they do today. Anyway, this young dude killed himself. At first he said, I've moved on to other projects. And then 30 days later, this guy who was very likely involved in this, because he was involved in the privacy movement and cryptography, online cryptography and stuff. And this guy was known to be involved in that. And he lived in the right area and he logged on to that message board at about the right time, and he was probably did all the heavy lifting with Bitcoin. He didn't do everything, but he did a lot certainly. Anyway, once he found out that this other dude had gone to CIA headquarters to give a briefing or a talk on Bitcoin, shortly after that, this guy committed suicide, and that was probably the real Satoshi. The CIA probably knows that, and they know he's dead, and that's that. Um, that's why Satoshi Nakamoto will never be found by all of these people with all these dumbass theories, because the guy who set this whole thing up was an American, not an Englishman, and he got frightened that the three-letter agencies got interested so fast as they did, and he probably or most certainly decided that he was going to kill himself before they killed him. And whether or not that was a good decision or not a good decision, it probably wasn't. But that's the likely reality of the real Satoshi. And that's kind of important because there's a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of other stuff where. What else is important? Okay, so that was like 2009. In 2014, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology discovered Bitcoin, and those economics dorks over there did an experiment where in 2014 they gave every undergraduate student at MIT $100 worth of Bitcoin. By the way, that Bitcoin is now worth $110 million. I don't know how many undergrads there are at MIT or how many there were, and it would be super interesting to find out exactly what they did with that Bitcoin. How many of them lost it, how many of them hung on to it, whatever. But it was, one of those perfect thought experiment, these economic nerd thought experiments, and this sparked Project Hamilton, the digital dollar, the digital central bank, Sam Bankman-Fried, and a bunch of other shit like that. Gary Gensler, the former chairman of the SEC, was a professor at MIT, of course. He's a former Goldman Sachs pro. So they made him a professor at MIT, and he taught a course on Bitcoin. I don't know, no one's ever mentioned word number one about that course, so God knows what the fuck it was. It's probably a lot like the constitutional law course that Barack Obama taught at Columbia. You know what I mean? They just gave him credit for doing something for a no-show job. But MIT gave $100 in Bitcoin to all their undergrads, and this, 2014, watching the price go from $100 to $1,000 and crash back down, that excited everyone. All of the small hats at MIT, and that launched the shitcoin universe, an attempt by various people who are in and out of the government all the time to create their own digital money, which is the Project Hamilton, and then the shitcoin spinoff with Sam Bankman-Fried and God knows how many others. But the whole idea that the CIA created Bitcoin is entirely wrong, and neither did the NSA create it. Because listen, the three-letter agencies don't create any fucking thing, like zero. They don't create anything. They're not. They're lazy government employees. The top people, the absolute tippy top people, and I mean the ones above the director, are all fucking pedophiles and fucking drug dealers. They're not innovators in any way, shape, or form. They're not curious. But the CIA wanted a covert payment system, and the Bitcoin fit that bill. And the CIA is in love with Bitcoin on levels previously thought impossible. Where are we today? Is this where? No, that's not where we are today. Hey, show the other fucking thing. Show the other thing. Where is it, man? Where is it? Why the fuck did I not upload it? Sure, I uploaded it. Fucking motherfuckers. What is this? What is this? Oh no! Ah, fuck! I'm getting sidetracked now. It's tough to do this to drive the car. But well, anyway, actually, around that time, around 2011, the early days of Bitcoin, this dude had a hard drive with 1,000 Bitcoins on it, and his girlfriend threw it away in a landfill. And he's an English guy, and he's been trying to get it back ever since. And they won't let him into the landfill anymore, and they've blocked him. And he's tried suing them, and he's hired people from NASA, and everyone to find this computer with this Bitcoin on it, and to no avail. And now Hollywood is going to make a movie about this guy. So it'd be interesting to find out how much they paid him, and if he used the proceeds from his life story to buy Bitcoin at its current price. That would be super, super interesting. But of all the crazy shit, I guess I should mention this. The ideas about money, like when you get to the nerd, when you get to the super geek definitions of money, money has 4 stages. And what that means is the first things that become money, like if you think of the Manhattan Island was, the Indians sold Manhattan Island to the Pilgrims for, some beaver pelts and some shiny beads. And you say, well, how the fuck is that money? Seashells, beads, animal furs, that kind of thing. In primitive times with primitive people, money is just a curiosity, like shiny beads. You don't really need them. They're not useful in any way. They're an adornment. They are a curiosity, a collectible. And that's how money starts out. It starts out being a collectible, something unusual and different that you just want. And over time, as long as it stays rare and hard to find, like seashells are money, but they're not they're not money by the ocean. They're money in the mountains, where it's really tough to find seashells, right? Or something that's hard to create, like gold. You have to dig it out of the ground. You have to smelt it. You have to do all this other stuff. And there's a place in, I should have got the screenshots from this. There's a treasure in this world called the Vardaska treasure. And it's a place in Bulgaria where, like 7,000 years ago, some dude, probably a king, was buried covered in gold from head to toe. And his wife as well. I mean, like, he had a fucking gold disc on his head. He had chains. He had bracelets. He even had a gold penis cap. Yes, you heard that correctly. When they photographed the skeleton, there was a cap, a small a Jimmy hat, a golden Jimmy hat for his Jimmy. Anyway, it's called the Vardaska treasure, and it's the Bulgarians go wild over it. That it's such a big deal, but it was an enormous treasure that was never looted for whatever reason, and the amount of gold inside this grave was just staggering. And because gold was not money yet, it was just something to collect and show off. So money starts out as a curious collectible. Later, it becomes a store of value, right? So it's something that you value and you want to hold on to because it's going to stay valuable tomorrow, the next day, and into the future. Then it becomes a medium of exchange. Eventually, you take that gold and you turn it into little metal discs with pictures of the king on it, and you use that to buy and sell shit. And then later still, you price everything in that item, right? You price everything in gold. How many ounces of gold for a ship? How many ounces of gold for that horse? How many ounces of gold for whatever? So the 4 stages of gold are curious collectible, store of value, medium of exchange, and then unit of account. Right now, Bitcoin is in store of value phase, right? The early days of this guy, right? The dude, where is it? Let's go back to landfill guy. when this guy had 1,000 bitcoins on his computer, it was just whatever. So these nerds were like, yeah, it's magic internet money. I got 1,000 of them. Let's play online poker. That's the story of the dude who paid 10,000 bitcoins for 2 pizzas. That really happened. It's just a curiosity. It's a collectible. Nobody at the time who was initially playing with it understood how valuable it would become. No one could begin to fucking understand how valuable it could become. So that's where we are now. And a lot of people, and here, that's the one I wanted. A lot of people think they understood Bitcoin, and they really, really, really did not. In particular, that intersection of super smart people and oh no, that's not yeah, okay. Here's a dude. This guy's name is Steven Mnuchin, and if you Google pictures of him, and this is an older story, he was the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury in Trump's first administration. So this story is from 2021, and it says U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin thinks the outlook for Bitcoin is bleak. Well, today we have a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And the current Treasury Secretary, a guy named Bessert, is very much a Bitcoin guy. So the best part of this, and I remember watching this on this video clip. I couldn't find a video clip, but here is the quote. Mnuchin was on CNBC's Squawk Box, a financial TV show, and he says, I would bet even in 5 or 6 years, I won't even be talking about Bitcoin as Treasury Secretary. Well, no, you're not talking about it because you're not the Treasury Secretary anymore. By the way, Mnuchin has ties to the Rothschilds, and he was the dude who arranged Trump's bankruptcy, for Trump to get out of bankruptcy back in the 80s and 90s. So, yeah, Mnuchin has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He's a super smart Jew. I don't know if he's a Goldman guy or where he came from on Wall Street, but he was Treasury Secretary, and he's so much smarter than a guy like me who drives boxes for a living and lives in a 1-bedroom apartment in New Jersey. But he was wrong, and I was fucking right. And all the rest of us who were hardcore Bitcoin maximalists were right. And Steve, I'm a presidential fucking cabinet member, Mnuchin was dead fucking wrong. So you have to clear your head and not be overly influenced by these people who you might think, oh, they're smart, they're in this position, they're in that position, they understand this, they understand that. No, they fucking don't. The other thing Mnuchin, the other thing Mnuchin just said, I can't remember where it was. It doesn't matter. He said, one thing's for sure, I will not be loaded up on Bitcoin in 10 years. And I believe that. This guy, I guarantee you will never own fucking Bitcoin, no matter how high it fucking goes. And that is a fucking beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And what is this one? Yeah, so here's Bessert, right? Bessent. I said Bessert, Bessent. Stock market rallies after Treasury Secretary Bessent tells closed-door investor summit that the tariff standoff with China is unsustainable. So we all knew this, right? Like I said, Trump's a bully and China's not backing down. And so you got the USA versus China, basically two rival systems battling for dominance. And I think ultimately America is going to win it, but I don't think America is going to win it quite as handily as they think they will. And I don't think America is going to look like America or like it does today. I don't think America is going to be quite the same at the end of it. And then this was the other one I was looking for. And now, if you want to know how deeply does America embrace Bitcoin, this is how deep. It's from the CIA asking some fucking software geek to come and give them a briefing, and they bought Bitcoin in 2009 to the CIA deputy director, and that's the guy who actually runs shit. Calls Bitcoin another tool in the fight against China. So, the super spooks are going to use freedom money to destroy the closed system of China. Never mind the fact that America is currently a closed system. But, what people don't understand, because they believe in political fairy tales, and I'm going to show you a lot of different political fairy tales now, all around the globe. China is communist, America is capitalist. It's all fucking bullshit. Those are all political fairy tales, and I mock them ruthlessly, and I have no interest in your political fairy tales. I don't give a shit what you fucking call yourself. If your parents were goldfish, my father was a goldfish, my mother was a stingray, and I was born as a unicorn, I don't fucking give a shit. I don't care what delusions you walk around in your head with. All I care is you fucking behave yourself and obey the law. That's all I give a shit about. But I am under no obligation, right, to treat you like a fucking unicorn, okay? You think you're a unicorn, you want to prance around in a field and eat carrots and do whatever the fuck unicorns do, that's great. But just don't expect me to fucking join in with you, pal. And that's true of anybody. I don't want to hear your fucking bullshit story. It's a fucking bullshit story. Nationalism, this thing. Oh, real fascism hasn't been tried yet. Mussolini was a lazy Italian fascist. He wasn't even a real fascist. And Franco in Spain, why, all he could think about was fucking paella and fucking what do they call it? Sangria. That's all he had on his mind all day was paella and sangria. He wasn't a real fascist. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck, right? And I won't tolerate word fucking one coming out of your mouth. I don't want to hear your political fairy tales at all. Okay? This is where you are right now.
There's a moment when every boy realizes no one's coming to save him. And that's when he becomes a man. And some boys never get there and stay children forever.
If you need to stay a child forever and live in a fucking political fucking dream world, great. You don't belong here. You really don't fucking belong here. You absolutely, under no circumstances, belong here. So where else am I going to go? What am I going to do? What am I going to do without crashing the car? Don't crash the car, James. Okay, so, where's my favorite fucking, this one? If there really was, oh shit, okay. If there really was a supercomputer that monitored everything we do, it would analyze this image. This image no doubt came from a three-letter agency. But, I show it anyway. This is what the world really looks like. You know how I know? Here's how I know. I got some videos. I got videos. Don't think, this is a video-free show. Oh, I got plenty of videos. Got all kind of videos. Just keep the fucking car on the road, James. Keep the car on the road. Here, let's start. Let's go to Moscow. Moscow, motherfucker.
The most important of them being that we have to do everything to combat the proliferation of Nazism, to combat the ideologies of Russophobia, anti-Semitism, Nazism, any forms of racial or national intolerance, any manifestations of so-called exclusivity, disguising attempts at world domination or intervention in domestic affairs of independent countries.
So apparently the Nazis have not been defeated, not even in Russia. The Nazis are bad, and you don't want to, if you disguise your world domination scheme as exclusionary, if you don't celebrate diversity, this is in Russia, right? You don't celebrate diversity, boy, we're gonna combat you. The political fairy tale that fucking piece of shit KGB fucking spook is some kind of dude who fucking loves his country and just doesn't love the fucking taste of Jewish boots is profoundly wrong, and it makes him no difference from these guys.
Anti-Semitic platforms like Gab have no place in Texas and certainly do not represent Texas values. What does represent Texas values is legislation like this by Representative King and Representative Coburn that fights anti-Semitism in Texas.
So we're fighting anti-Semitism in Texas and in Moscow. Where else? Where else could the war against the evil of anti-Semitism and Nazism? Where else could they be launching an attack? Maybe from here. Anyway, that's a televangelist called Benny Hinn, Hinn. I thought it was Benny Hill at first. He claims that his coat has magic powers and he can knock demons out of you. That's a religious fairy tale. His current net worth is about $100 million. Where the fuck? God damn it! Maybe it's this one. This is the one I meant to show.
Is Mr. Phelan to explain the bill?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 366 is a step towards transparency and integrity in political advertising. Move passage.
Question occurs on passage to engrossment. Question occurs. The question occurs on passage to engrossment of HB 366. Record vote has been requested. Record vote is granted. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Mr. Moody voting aye. Show Ms. Jones of Harris voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 106 ayes and 39 nays, HB 366 is passed to engrossment. The chair lays out on second reading HB.
So they're going to pass a law. It's passed in the House. It hasn't passed in the Senate. But all this shit, listen, whether it goes through the first try or the second or the 10th try, they're going to keep after it, right? They're going to politicize. They're going to put you in jail for political fucking memes. When I tell you they're burning the Constitution, they don't actually set fire to the document. They're just going to make free speech abso-fucking-lutely impossible. Absolutely impossible. And they're setting things up so that they can legally do whatever the fuck they want to you. Here's another former Trump cabinet level dude, not cabinet level dude, ambassador, and he's got some ideas on what's important.
Where are all of those free speech people who grifted off of free speech and who won't say anything?
David Friedman, who actually was Trump's ambassador to Israel in his first term, he doesn't just stop at progressives and their critique of Israel.
You're alluding to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, none of them are any good on the right. On the left, I don't like any of these anti-Semites, and I'm not shy about it. There's no reason to think we're ever going to convince them, but we can deport them, we can put them in jail, we can make their lives miserable, we can cut off their funding, and that's what the Trump administration is doing for the first time.
That was an answer to a question about Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. So we're not talking about student visas anymore. So Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and everyone else, you start slightly criticizing Israel, We got a jail in Louisiana and then one in El Salvador that Israel can send you to via the U.S. government.
It's insane, okay? It is insane. Time for Americans to wake up to what is happening, okay? Because our freedoms will be taken away very quickly. I will not tolerate it, whether it's happening on the left or the right.
So hilariously, that's the Young Turks are like, holy crap, it's the Jews. Holy crap, it's the Jews. And that's everywhere. It's, you know, here's the Fighting the Oligarchs, the star of the Fighting the Oligarchs tour. Andrea Ocasio, half Puerto Rican Jew Cortez.
Very hard to defend.
I bet that woman doesn't even know she agrees with Candace Owens. I gotta admit, it's kind of delicious watching it. But this whole idea that everyone's gonna wake up and do this or that, you can wake up all you fucking want. You can notice, you can RedPill, and you can Unify, and you can do all of that in a prison in El Salvador. Which, what is that meme I played last week? Where's that meme? Here it is.
So do you guys like come here often? Like what are you in here for?
Yeah, that young man was sent to an El Salvador prison for yawning during the Israeli national anthem, which will probably be played every day at 6 a.m. on American TV or when the stock market opens or something like that. But yeah, this is, you know, it's to understand how bad things are. You know, this is what Barbara Specter Lerner, like part 2.
The culture that's tried to destroy us has vanished while the Jewish people has survived. What's kept us going through the centuries? Staying true to what we are. The West is paralyzed before the Islamist death cult that threatens it because the West is itself gripped by a cultural death wish. The Western culture that stands against the Jews is going down. The West will survive only if it decides to love itself and if it decides to love us, the Jewish people, instead of disdaining us and trying to erase what makes the Jewish people special and what's made the West.
These people are insane and fucking delusional. And the only reason why they get away with saying that is because they print the fucking money. They print the money, they print the money, they print the money. Okay?
We print it digitally, so.
Yes, we know, Jerome. We know, Jerome. We understand that, Jerome. You don't have to come fucking jumping into my fucking stream, you know? But, you know, you think you're going to notice, you're going to RedPill, you're going to Unify. This is your anthem, kids.
They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy.
That's about as useful. That's about as useful as you're noticing.
Mustard on a beat, bro. Deep boat in rap. He a freak though. Man down, call an ambulance. Tell him breathe.
Whoops, I hit that one by accident. But that's a classic. It's a classic. It's a classic. The reason why they have the power they have is because they print the fucking money. All right. Nobody gets out of bed and does anything for a political fairy tale, right? And I don't give a shit what political fairy tale you fucking believe in. It's all fucking bullshit. What is that one? I don't know what the fuck that one is. For instance, where's Russia, Texas, the guy with the coat? Deport them. Well, one last other one. This one, I can't even tell if it's real or it's not real, but I think it's probably real. I don't watch sports ball, but if you watch sports ball, this is probably went over right past right over people's heads. But selective attention is what it is. Except some people caught it.
Yeah, Air Jordans. I see those Air Jordans.
Shit. Dude,
those are the Air Jordans.
That is legitimate.
Those are the Air Jordans.
Air Jordans, bro.
That is crazy. Let me get a close up on those Air Jordans.
Yeah, so just so you understand, when I play clips like this.
Toby be good nigga for massa. Good nigga.
Right? What's the difference? Toby gonna wear the shoes? He gonna wear the shoes.
To stand with the Jew?
That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do if you want to play sports ball in America.
I'd love to go to Israel. I mean, how historical is that? But I just can't deal with the Alex Jones is, going to Israel to get his orders or whatever. It's just like, I would love to touch the Wailing Wall.
There's other places you can see Roman construction, Alex. Although I don't think they have meth smoking trannies there. So, but I'm sure they have a few in Israel. But yeah, political fairy tales, I have no interest in them. And here's one. Speaking of Franco, where he just was dancing around, him and his buddy Hitler and Mussolini dancing around, and I don't know. I guess he wasn't really a fascist because this is what's up in Spain these days.
Private equity is buying up houses in Spain. It's becoming one of the biggest landlords in the whole country. Most of what they do is buy up vacant properties in Barcelona and Madrid, and then they refurbish and convert them, selling to the highest buyer. Over time, this has really raised the average price of an apartment in Spain's cities. And it's because this is something that is happening at scale. They own literally thousands of properties across the country. And Blackstone isn't the only one. There are also firms like Greystar, which have recently acquired hundreds of flexible living units. US private equity firms really started buying up places in Spain after the 2008 financial crisis. It's become such a problem that MPs in Spain's parliament are floating a total ban on foreign companies owning apartments in the country. These massive portfolios contribute to a growing gentrification in Spain, especially because the country is extremely urbanized. It means that everybody is competing for the same land, except these US private equity firms have a lot more money that they can put in. Blackstone itself recently went on a multi-billion-dollar buying spree in Barcelona. Well, Barcelona and Madrid.
So, you can't afford a house in America, can't get an apartment in Spain either. Where else can you not get an apartment?
It's a nightmare. The average apartment in Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi is around $200,000 per apartment. This rise is roughly 30 times higher than the average annual income of the city residents, which is around $7,000. Let's say a young person earns $600 per month and manage to save 40% of their income every month. To buy the cheapest apartment, around $60,000, they would need to sell for 20 years. Buying a land house would take 47 years. Buying a villa would take 132 years. Buying building a shop house would take 169 years. And this number only apply if housing rights stay the same. But with eroding populations and shrinking land supply, speculators buy property to store wealth or wait for the price to raise before reselling, reducing supply, and that makes price undoubtedly increase by hundreds of percent in the future. Will there ever be an opportunity for the people in the future to afford a home? That's questions that many people are waiting for the answer. Because owning a house in Saigon is not a dream anymore.
Yeah, so you can't own a house even in Vietnam. So the Spanish socialists and the Vietnamese are communists, or this one, that one, your fucking political fairy tales. Nobody wants to hold on to government money, whether it's government money in Vietnam or fucking Spain or wherever. If you're holding on to the permission slips that the central bankers issue to you, you're going to be poorer, okay? Even in Vietnam, they understand that you get rid of that fucking paper and you exchange it for something of value. Now, they, of course, go to real estate. That's the classic go-to. But you understand this is fucking worldwide, okay? People have been conditioned to accept the promises of central bankers as real fucking money. And they don't understand what money is. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand inflation. They don't understand why everything gets more expensive. But nothing's more expensive. It's just that your dollars or your Vietnamese dong or your euros are weaker. And this is an easily avoidable situation, at least in America, okay? There's no waking up, this, that. Fucking waking up is all bullshit. I don't know what the fuck people are talking about. It's a child's mindset to think, oh, wake up and think. You wake up your parents because there's somebody knocking at the door. You know what I mean? You wake up your parents because you want food or something like that. That's the way a child thinks. Wake up this, wake up that. Shut your fucking mouth, okay? Act in your own self-interest, all right? Begin to act in your own fucking self-interest, all right? And you will be in far, far, far better shape. What is that chick, that good-looking one? I don't know. Let's see what the pretty girl has to say about this.
The House of Representatives will vote tomorrow on a bill that could impose 20 years of prison on an American citizen who boycotts Israel, or up to $1 million in fines, since we all have that laying around in this economy. H.R. 867, the IGO Anti-Boycott Act, could penalize and criminalize Americans for just voicing their opinion, for having the freedom of speech. It's as simple as a journalist posting a do not buy guide, or an investor divesting from a company on ethical grounds, or, the most popular, a student group urging divestment. How convenient. Americans are watching their rights drop like flies, yet we all just sit and watch.
That's because you don't have any money, sweetie. You can't buy the politicians. But this is, you're not going to vote your way out of this. You just aren't going to vote your way out of this, right? That which is falling deserves to be pushed, right? You remember that one? I don't know if you guys remember that one. That which is falling deserves to be pushed. There's no point in trying to stop any of this, right? And don't get in front of it, because you will get crushed by it. You will get absolutely crushed by it. The future, if you continue to base your life on political fairy tales and hold the value of your time in the promises of central bankers, the future for you is pretty fucking bleak, okay? It's pretty fucking bleak. And even our friends over there in fucking, I don't know where he is, go back to Chopstick Land, even the chopstick jockeys, I swear to God, as the fucking People's Republic of China watching a subscriber to this fucking show, what the fuck is going on? How do these people say the exact thing I'm saying?
You know why the homeless people exist? Well, many shops throw away a lot of food every day, and still many places like a ghost town has houses can providing people to live. the reason these homeless people exist because the top rich rulers, those authorities, wants you all in the middle who are hard workers to know if you don't work hard, if you don't listen, follow the rules the top people made for you, you will become homeless too. You know, the homeless is providing you fear so you can be a good slave for the top rich or those authorities. You see?
I swear to God, are you telling me that guy's not one of my subscribers? I wish I could see a list of my subscribers. I guarantee that motherfucker's one of my subscribers. How could he not be? Could he not be? But the reason why you trade your government money for Bitcoin is because Bitcoin's getting stronger, the government money's getting weaker. That's just the way it's going to be. Although I think we have crashed down to $94,000 as the time I hit go live on this. And I got to tell you, Steve Mnuchin, the super smart Treasury Secretary Jew, who said 5 or 6 years from now, we won't be talking about Bitcoin. Yeah, well, you were fucking wrong. Here's another super smart Jew who, by the way, owns a lot of Bitcoin, who still doesn't quite get it. And he's the current, Secretary of Commerce. And man, does he love to hear himself talk.
My department, the Commerce Department, has launched the Investment Accelerator. When firms and companies want to invest in America, they're going to be over $1 billion investment. Let's help them. Let's clear the regulations. Let's help them get the permits. Let's be business friendly. And then if they're investing $10 billion, let's assign someone for white glove service. I mean, a full-time person who's available for them. They can call at any time and all the time. And we're doing all sorts of interesting things. I'll give you an example. If you want to mine Bitcoin and you find the right place to do it, you can build your own power plant next to it. I mean, think about that for a second. You don't have to necessarily be on the grid, and you're going to see this happen, which is miners are going to put data centers on top of gas fields and then put a plant right next to them so that they won't be beholden to the drawing power and listening to all the stories about, oh, you're taking too much power and now the cost of operating my refrigerator is higher and all the things we have to deal with now. What you'll see is the next.
So that's Howard Lutnick, the current Secretary of Commerce, who is looking to get, I don't know, Microsoft and Apple and whatever, because I don't think money's coming from overseas. They're going to offer them a deal where they can build their own power plants off of the grid, and you won't have to listen to those pesky citizens complain. You know, those pesky, those lowly fucking kulaks who provide, you know, the infrastructure necessary for you to mine Bitcoin. You won't have to listen to them complain. You could be in your own private fucking, you know, nuclear power plant or whatever the fuck. Lutnick is a fucking scumbag, former head of Cantor Fitzgerald, which was supposedly, I don't know where he was on 9/11, but he was not a Cantor Fitzgerald, which was on the 93rd floor of one of those buildings. So, you know, the fact that these super smart, high IQ people, as Trump likes to call them, get it wrong and fuck it up left and right is a good thing, and that's going to continue to happen. But longer term, the current governmental structure, right, that we live under wants to survive. And the way they're going to do it, just like with the strategic Bitcoin reserve, and this, I really think this is going to happen. I'm not sure when it's going to happen or how they're going to pull it off, but this is very likely to happen in the future.
I think that we made it very clear in the way that we structured the executive order that we recognize Bitcoin as being unique. And we've said repeatedly that we view Bitcoin as digital gold. And a question that I get from journalists all the time is, how much do you want? And I think that's really a silly question. That's like asking any country, how much do you want of any asset with intrinsic stored value? You want as much as you can possibly accumulate. You know, there are stipulations in the EO. We must do this in budget neutral ways that don't cost the taxpayer a dime. But as the president likes to say, we have a lot of high IQ people in this administration, specifically over at Treasury and at Commerce. And I'm very confident in the leaders in those buildings to come up with extremely creative ways for us to accumulate. And we're very excited about that. And certainly we want to move as expeditiously as possible to do that. You know, I think that there is definitely a sort of space race as it pertains to accumulation of this asset, no different than there is with gold.
Okay, so that's the Shavos Goy dude who he's talking about Besant and Lutnick, the high IQ people who are going to come up with budget neutral ways for the U.S. government to acquire 1 million Bitcoin. That's the goal, 1 million Bitcoin. And the reason why it has to be budget neutral is not because they're being fiscally responsible. It's not like a country that's $36 trillion in debt is like, well, we better be budget neutral because don't want to add to that 36 trillion. That's not what it is. If they use taxpayer money, theoretically, in the future, the taxpayers could lay legal claim to that Bitcoin. They could say, hey, you bought that Bitcoin with taxpayer money, it belongs to the taxpayers. So they have to find ways that no taxpayer money is used to acquire this so that the bureaucratic structure that's known as the U.S. government will have this asset and no one else will have a legal claim to it. That's 100% why they're doing it in a budget neutral fashion. But you have to understand the value of this in the future, right? And not a whole lot of people do. Not a whole lot of people do because, you know, your worldview is being distorted by the fairy tales in your fucking head, right? The ones that you choose to fucking believe, whatever the fuck they are. And that causes you to look at the wrong things and draw the wrong fucking conclusions. And the quicker you end that, the better off you're going to be. The absolutely better off you're going to be. Is there anything else I want to show? I think I showed everything. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Can't find it. There's all this few little bits here and there, but that you think you can influence anything, you can't. You're not voting your way out of this. You're not red pilling people. You're not gonna notice in RedPill and Unify, and that's not gonna fucking change anything. Oh yeah, that was the one I forgot. Holy crap! How the fuck did I forget that one? I didn't forget it. I'm going for it right now. I'm just gonna scroll while I'm driving. Here's the reality. Come on, show me. There it is. I got a 14-second video that if you draw the right conclusions, you'll understand. And it's this: the elites in charge of the West, right? Who's primarily they're extracting all the wealth upwards, and they're battling with China, who they've figured out how to use productive gains to spread the wealth around. I'm not saying the Chinese are super equitable in every way, shape, and form, but they've definitely figured out an incentive structure that works, at least in the last 50 years. You know, how committed they are to that is one thing. We'll have to see. But in the West, everything, you know, all of our statues were torn down, right? You remember that started in Charlottesville, and it kind of they kind of stopped for the moment. But we have shadowy organizations putting up fucking George Floyd statues. But there are people who are much more open putting up different statues, and that's us. So you need to understand, all over the West, your statues are coming down, right? and it's the iconoclasts. It's the original destroyers of Western civilization, taking down the idols that you worship. But quietly, there's an entirely new cult that is taking hold, and that's the cult of Bitcoin. Our statues are going up, and that matters way more than you think it does, okay, psychologically. But what matters more than that is you stop holding on to your government money and you trade it for Bitcoin. Get rid of your dirty fiat and trade it for perfect, clean Bitcoin. And then just live your life. And don't criticize the small hats. You don't need a free trip to a fucking prison in El Salvador. And you don't need $1 million fine levied against you or your family or whatever physical assets you have. So forget the fucking noticing, forget the red pilling, forget the unity. That's all fucking bullshit. That's a political fairy tale. You tell yourself that you're going to be fucking rescued by Adolf fucking Hitler, and we all know that is not going to happen, right? We all know that is not going to happen.
And we are simply going to wait for Hitler to return and save us. Adolf Hitler, if you can hear me, please save us. If you can hear me, Adolf Hitler, if you can hear me, save us. Adolf Hitler, if you can hear me, please save us. Adolf Hitler, if you can hear me, please save us. No.
So there's Nick Fuentes, the CIA's shortest homosexual agent and Kanye's best friend. Best friend to the Negro Kanye. Who they took him out pretty quick. They spun him up pretty quick. But anyway, with that, I think they get very, very nearly shown everything. Other than, listen, there's still regular people in this world, and these are my peoples putting up this fucking sign, all Israeli service members are committing genocide, and that they are not welcome in whatever cafe that is in Athens, whatever restaurant that is in Athens. So, this may be a kind of a symbolic act of defiance, but I wouldn't do much more than that. And considering this is in Europe, that's probably a pretty fucking ballsy thing to do. That's probably ballsier and taking a bigger risk than you might think. I don't know what the laws are there. Technically, they're supposed to have free speech, but we all know that we don't have free speech in America anymore. At least Congress is trying to shut that down. And as long as you're not in the room where the decisions are made, you're not in the room where the decisions are made. The politicians get told what to do, then they come out, stand in front of the cameras, and announce they announce the plans of the bankers. And until fiat currency is destroyed, and it must be destroyed peacefully and legally, because you ain't going toe to toe with these fucking people. You have to make sure that all your efforts and energy are directed to legal, 100% within the boundaries of U.S. law actions, and have lasting consequences. And that lasting consequence is you do not allow the value of your time and efforts to be pissed away, to be melted away by people who think you were born to be their fucking slave. So that's that. That is that. We're coming up to Baltimore. And where are we at? Who's in the chat? I fucking hate this. Oh, I hate this fucking referral link thing. What are you doing, you stupid? Oh, fucking, I don't want to post a comment. Who's here? I think only Virgil Doc is here. Virgil Doc, are you here? Come on. Fucking scum. Can't post the comments. I don't fucking give a shit. Anyway, I thought I saw Virgil Doc's leaving a message. Anyway, if you are here, Virgil Doc, Purple Heart, welcome to the show, sir. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of people showing up this Sunday night. I don't know why. Usually when I do these late streams, they work out pretty well. But we're going now to the Fort McHenry Tunnel. And this is where, who's the guy who wrote the Star Spangled Banner? I can't remember the guy's name. Francis Scott Key. Francis Scott Key. Somewhere near here, he wrote the Star Spangled Banner, which was based on an English drinking song, so they say. And it was obviously the inspiration for the American Revolution. And you know what? It's appropriate that at this point in time, we're passing through this geographical section of America because I'm trying to start another revolution, a revolution of freedom money, where you do not have to depend on the kindness and integrity of central bankers for the value of your life, okay? Understand that what's coming is pretty fucking big. Sovereign wealth funds, nation states, Taiwan. America's looking to acquire 1 million Bitcoins. How are they going to do that? There's a couple of ways that they're trying to figure out how to do it, but I really think they're going to do that. And you would rather be in front of this wave than behind it. That, ladies and gentlemen, is for sure. That is for sure. And now the eternal question: have you smashed up the like button yet? And this goes for you too, Rumble people. If the Rumble people are around, and I can't see them in this chat, so they might be in the Rumble chat. But anyway, with that, we're coming up. What is it, like an hour and 5 minutes? We are outside of the tunnel, coming up to. I used to get off here. There's a place in Baltimore called Chap's Pit Beef, which is a crazy spot. You can find YouTube videos of it, and it's a barbecue spot. I think I streamed from there once or twice. It's a barbecue place that is in the parking lot of a strip club. Yes, you heard that right. In the parking lot of a strip club. Baltimore can be sketchy as fuck. Anyway, with that, what I will say to Virgil Doc, Purple Heart, everyone else that's lurking in the background, thanks for stopping by, guys, and I'll talk to you again next week.